Hello, my fellow lasers. I'm thrilled to celebrate this milestone together. We've taken different life paths that intersect right at this moment. In academic terms, I'm considered a non traditional student. Some may say I'm an OG. Whatever you call me, I'm a lifelong learner, and my path here to Lasell, perhaps like many of yours, has taken several detours. I've been around the block many times and quite often lost. Thank goodness the GPS came along in my 20s when I was required as an adult to arrive at a new address on time. Although this tiny talking box directed me turn by turn to my destination, we quickly developed a rather hostile relationship. I called her Gert, short for Gertrude, because my GPS was downright rude. When I missed a turn, I heard, recalculating, with a thick layer of snark as if Gert was judging me and my driving. Believe me, I heard recalculating often. To be honest, I still do. I've been recalculating my entire life through multiple cross-country moves, study abroad in England, an amazing sabbatical experience in Kenya, and travel as a global citizen. My GPS has guided me through many adventures. I thought I knew exactly what I was doing and where I was going. I had it all mapped out. But before the end of fall term my freshman year of college, I was in tears on the phone with my high school guidance counselor saying, I don't know what I'm doing here. I was struggling in calculus and failed a physics exam. Me! I'd never failed anything academic in my life. What a rude awakening. Recalculating. For the first time I had to ask for help. Those guidance counselors talked me down from my academic anxiety attack. They convinced me that my brain was not broken, it was acceptable to score below an A, and to allow myself to be human. I should not get stuck on this very rigid and perfect path I had envisioned for myself. The next year I found my way. I joined some clubs, participated in intramural sports, worked some odd jobs, and made adjustments to my academic and career goals. When courses were challenging, I learned to seek help from professors and student tutors and collaborate with classmates. In 4.5 years, I earned 2 degrees. By the end of 1998, I was a licensed physical therapist assistant and certified as a strength and conditioning specialist. Hello world, here I am. Give me my dream job with paid vacation, a 401k, and full medical and dental. As you can imagine, that is not at all how it went. Right before graduating, the Federal Balanced Budget Act of 1998 passed, capping reimbursement for rehabilitation services to Medicare recipients. This shook the healthcare world, and many therapists were laid off due to budget cuts. The employment outlook was grim. This giant sinkhole swallowed my career path before the ink of my resume had time to dry. Recalculating. Instead of conquering the world with all my knowledge and skills, I sulked back home to Ohio with my student loan debt and slept for 2 weeks straight until my parents vigorously requested some return on investment from those 2 degrees. Though I had planned to move west and start on my master's degree, instead I moved into my first studio apartment with a mix of hand-me-down furniture and cheap plastic leftover college decor. So much for my escape from my hometown. But that didn't last long for many reasons. Let's just say, recalculating, shall we? The West was calling me. I wanted to get back to Oregon where I'd fallen in love with the bucolic scenery and promise of new adventure. I set up an interview at the same hospital where I'd completed my first clinical experience, and the interview went well. I was hired. I gave notice at my job, had a going away party and a garage sale, and packed my belongings, only to learn the hospital was bought by another larger corporation and that new job was no longer available due to a hiring freeze. Recalculating. In a full panic, I mailed resumes to all the clinics listed in the phone book of my desired new city. A clinic director called for a phone interview not long before my departure date. When can you get here? He said. We've been looking for someone for over a year. Continue west 2,400 miles. I bet you thought I was going to say recalculating, didn't you? Well, that was 2003. I worked 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday at a busy outpatient physical therapy clinic. I had wonderful coworkers and learned so much. The schedule did not allow me to attend graduate school courses because there were no online programs to speak of back then. Adulthood set in as I entered my 30s. On a positive note, I started officiating track meets at historic Hayward Field in Tracktown, USA. I bought a house, and I fell in love with an adorable dog. I also transitioned to teaching in 2009 when a colleague and I developed a physical therapist assistant program at the local community college. A few years ago, I was staring at 40 and found myself lost again. A college teammate died suddenly of a stroke. The next day, my beloved dog died in my arms. The next month, my long-term relationship ended. If ever there was a time when I needed that GPS to recalculate and lead me in a different direction, that was it. But where to? I had fallen off my path again. I had an actual spreadsheet of life goals with action items, but no progress made on any of them. I even missed my target for starting work on a master's degree by nearly 20 years. It was time to refocus. In an attempt to center myself, I attended a meditation retreat for 5 days of noble silence. I read books that spoke to my heart. I started painting and I joined a cycling class. Then a dear friend said, "Come visit me in Boston," just as I was researching graduate programs. "We just started an online Masters of Rehabilitation program here at Lasell." Recalculating. In hindsight, it was not the GPS with an attitude leading me in the right direction. It was my parents who let me chase my wild dreams all over the great big world despite their better judgment. My Gram who role modeled generosity and volunteering with joy in her heart. My wonderfulness who was correct when he said I would be a perpetual student. The teachers who fed my quest for information, and a long list of strong and brave mentors and friends. Miss Tatum, Barbara Hahn, Christina Howard, to name a few, who never put limits on my goals, no matter how bold. Each gently nudged me, sometimes pushed me where I needed to go, often out of my comfort zone. And now, once more for good measure, I plan to walk proudly across the stage at Lasell University this dewy morning, shake hands with Professor Tom Sullivan, who kept me up at night reading and writing ethics papers until I nearly had pneumonia, and hug my most supportive and wonderful friend, Professor Marissa Hasty, who brought me to Lasell 3 years ago, and receive my long-awaited master's degree in rehabilitation science, an event over 20 years in the making, and I chose the year with the pandemic virus to finish this degree. No hugs, no handshakes, no sitting shoulder to shoulder with my fellow graduates. Recalculating. But we all finished. We persevered. We washed our hands. We accomplished our goal. Do not fear veering from your path, getting a little lost, and making a few side trips along the way. It's okay to recalculate as many times as needed. Congratulations and best of luck on the rest of your journey.